Welcome to the Visionary Chronicles, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the strategies and insights that drive innovative, disruptive businesses. Join us as we explore the mindsets, cultures, and solutions powering the next generation of industry leaders and creative trailblazers. Whether you're seeking to inject new life into your organization or spark transformative growth, the Visionary Chronicles is your guide to executable, cutting-edge business strategy. Hello and welcome to the Visionary Chronicles. Appreciate you joining us today. We're going to continue on our series of the 9-part series, actually, of the Road to Visionary Leadership. First 4, getting ahead of myself here, the 5th today. The first 4 have been well received, and thank you for those that have rated the podcast in this new series. This is an inspiration, actually, from the new book that I'm going to be releasing in July of this year, which is The Visionary Leader. This is my second book. First book being The Visionary Brand, the success formula behind the world's most visionary brand. So a labor of love for about 18 months, but The Visionary Leader is finally set and ready to go, and that'll be released in July. Again, it's The Visionary Leader, the success principles of the world's greatest visionaries. And this is available now for pre-sale. And for those of you who don't know, it's available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, and all global retailers. Again, and this is my second book. Looking forward to getting that out in the market. But more importantly, today we're going to continue on this series, the first series actually, of the Visionary Chronicles on the Road to Visionary Leadership. So this is a follow-up book to my first best-selling award-winning book, The Visionary Brand. And with the Visionary Brand, we also created a successful Visionary Brand Master Course. And that's available at thevisionaryfiles.com. And this is one that has 18 basically chapters of presentations that I've given on the book, chapter by chapter, so you can skip around relative to the subject that you're interested in, but most people. And the feedback that we've gotten from executives as well as those that have taken the course, that they do go through all chapters in the book. And I love when they reach back out to me and see how they've applied what they've actually learned from the course. And that was really the intent behind the Visionary Brand, was really to help those leaders of brands in particular understand that what it takes, the formula, to actually build a great and visionary brand, one that lasts for generations. You know, what is this magical formula? It's always something that's been intriguing to me. So I wanted to follow that up with the Visionary Leader. So we've got the brand and now we have the leader. We're talking about some of the greatest visionaries ever. This isn't just current generation leaders. We go way back to visionary leaders such as Socrates. We talk about Gandhi. We talk about Martin Luther King. So we come from the past to the present, to Elon Musk and Satya Nadella from Microsoft. So we've got a lot of visionary leaders in there and a lot of case studies with these visionaries to get a bit of insight into not only the principles of these visionary leaders, but what has made them successful. So I always like to start out with a quote, and this one I thought is great and appropriate for what we're going to talk about today. It says, "Your success in life isn't based on your ability to simply change. It's based on your ability to change faster than your competition, customers, and business." And that's from Mark Sanborn. And what I love about that quote is your success in life isn't based on your ability to simply change. And many people feel that way about change. And that's what we're talking about today on the Road to Visionary Leadership, is leading through change. And it's based on your ability to change faster than your competition, customers, and business. Meaning that the pace at which you change is integral to your success. So this episode continues our journey through the Visionary Leadership series with Chronicle 5, Leading Through Change. Change really is what I call this inevitable part of leadership. And whether you're navigating through market disruptions, which many of us have, many of us want to forget about these changes and the disruptions that it caused, but change is inevitable. And these market disruptions, organizational transformations, or personal growth, visionary leaders understand what it takes is that key is success is not avoiding change, but really embracing and leading through this change. Really, it's a mindset. And I talk about that in the book as well. I've got 17 principles that I go through in the book on visionary leaders. In each one of the chapters, it's interesting, I either have one or two visionaries that have that particular principle. So you can not only get and understand the principles, but you can understand the leader that had this particular principle. So you can kind of get a visual plus a textual context around the leadership principles. So before we dive into today's discussion, let's reflect on some of the previous episodes in the series. So again, I've gotten some tremendous feedback from those that have listened to these previous 4. So I'll give you a quick recap. In Chronicle 1, Understanding Visionary Leadership and Mindset, it's episode 184, we explored what sets visionaries apart, their ability to see beyond the present and inspire others with a compelling vision that nobody else can see. Number 2 was building a culture of innovation. This was episode 186. We examined how great leaders foster environments where creativity thrives and breakthrough ideas take shape. And then in Chronicle number 3, we talked about strategic foresight and planning, episode 187. This is where we discussed how forward-thinking leaders anticipate change and develop strategic roadmaps, to navigate uncertainty. And most recently, the last episode was Chronicle 4, Effective Communication and Inspiring Greatness in Others. This is one we've got some really tremendous feedback on because everybody understands a great communicator is effective in not only setting the vision, but able to passionately convey this vision to others that want to be part of that process, part of that success formula, part of this visionary's mindset, and understand how do these great visionaries build this success formula, execute it in the marketplace, and do it continually, generation after generation. So in this one, we emphasize the role of clear, authentic communication in motivating teams. And now in Chronicle 5, we're going to talk about change. And this is one that's probably one of the more important ones of the 5 that we've talked about. They're all important. And what I love about these chronicles in the road to visionary leadership is each one of these takes a step towards kind of evolving your leadership style, your leadership methodology, also your leadership process. So when you talk about leading through change, we talk one of these most challenging aspects of leadership. I think we can all admit to that. Guiding teams and organizations through transformation is extremely difficult. And not only is it difficult, but it's also difficult for those that are not truly visionaries committed to their vision and executing it through the good times and the bad. I talk about that. Everybody goes through storms. It's those that navigate the storm, find the endpoint, and successfully execute their vision are the ones that succeed. Not only once, but they do it over and over and over again. I can tell you in the Visionary Leader book, every single visionary that I outline in the book successfully navigated their vision, went through storms, but also never took their eye off of where their eventual destination was. They always understood that you're going to go through these storms, but they also understood that they're going to need to navigate through these storms in order for them to succeed in their vision. So this is change. So change is often met with resistance. We know that. Whether that's your team, whether that's a functional area, design doesn't like what product's doing, product doesn't like what design's doing, and accounting doesn't like what product's doing, or what sales is doing on their programs, or marketing doesn't have enough money. So there's always change in organizations. So there's this balancing act, this transformation this resistance that you have to push through as a visionary leader in order for you to succeed. But true visionary leaders recognize this as an opportunity for growth, both personally and professionally. Now, what I mean by this is that from a personal perspective, there's a lot of personalities that you have to manage through change. Some are aggressive, some are truly passionate about executing their vision, ensuring that whatever they do, that it's 110% of the expectation of the leader. And it's an opportunity for growth on the professional side. Because as you go through change, as you go through storms, you have what I call these cuts, these bruises, these visual things that you can look back on. And not only can you look back on and utilize that for future growth on your professional side, but you can also utilize these cuts and bruises and the challenges and storms that you've gone through in change to help people personally. It's as important as a visionary leader to help people grow through change personally as it is professionally. We get lost too many times in trying to make people more effective, telling people to just do their job, and even worse, going through change where there's layoffs or people that there's a reduction in the workforce and your boss tells you you're lucky you just have a job. And many people have been through this. And it's a change that's not visionary. It's a change that doesn't motivate people. And I'm not saying that everything is rosy when you're going through and being led by a visionary leader. I've been in companies where you're going through disruptions. But I can tell you that as long as the visionary and the brand itself maintains its course and doesn't get lost in the storm, that is going to be a company you're going to want to be a part of because they're going to be generational. And there's very few of them out there. And I can probably count in my right hand how many are truly visionary over the generations. So your ability as a visionary leader to adapt, to pivot, and to maintain what I call clarity during times of uncertainty separates great visionary leaders from the rest. And that's an important thing to remember as well as a visionary leader, is that as you go through change, your ability to, again, adapt, pivot, and maintain clarity. And it's important that you remember maintaining clarity during times of uncertainty, because that's when uncertainty is at its highest. And you as a visionary and as a leader of your team or your brand, company, service, whatever it happens to be, this is why you anchor yourself. And I talk about it in the visionary brand, these foundational principles and formula of a visionary brand. Because once you anchor yourself in these, it becomes your vision, but it also becomes your destination. It's a journey, not a point of reference. So maintain clarity during times of uncertainty. This will separate you, I can tell you, from the brands that we work with at Liquid Mind, brands that I've been part of. This always separates great visionary leaders from the rest. Those that panic, and panic is not a strategy. I don't care if you're in a company, a brand, or the stock market. Panic is not a strategy. So how do the most effective leaders manage change? So this is the part of the series. Again, we're talking about the path, the visionary leadership, and the journey that you go through. So how do these visionary leaders manage through change? First is they anticipate change before it happens. They just don't wait around waiting for things to be realized before they start making change. So you need to be sure that when you're going through change, this vision needs to be realized before things happen. So visionary leaders are proactive, not reactive. I've seen too many times in companies that we come in after the fact that they're in a mess. They recognize that they didn't proactively implement things that would allow them to be successful as they go through this storm of change. They don't wait for disruptions to force their hand. They don't. They have and are the disruptors of the industry. They anticipate industry shifts, technological advancements, and cultural transformations before they come widespread. And it's interesting, before, you probably didn't see this when you talk about anticipating change. Industry shift, technological advancements. Everybody's heard about those shifts and change, but many people don't hear about cultural transformations. This is really something that came to light during the COVID years and continues today. It's something that internally and externally people argue about. Should you go back to work? Shouldn't you go back to work? Does remote work? Doesn't it work? My feeling is that it does work relative to the situation. Does it allow you to be effective with your teams? Does it allow you to continue to maintain and build your culture as a brand? So it's really relative to the situation. It's really not one size fits all. So they invest in market research, listening to emerging trends, and stay ahead of the curve. That's what the anticipation looks like as a visionary leader. Number 2 is establishing a clear and compelling vision. I talk about this all the time. Is that change can create uncertainty, and without a clear why, teams feel lost. So you need to ensure not just one time putting it on a piece of paper, and I've seen too many brands and leaders that don't walk the walk or talk the talk. They just put it on paper and assume that people are going to refresh that passion and the vision without having it being reinforced by the leader themselves. That just doesn't work. They feel lost if the leader isn't continually, verbally, and also virally and passionately talking about the vision. Visionary leaders articulate a compelling future state, a vision that excites, that unifies people, and motivates their teams. It isn't good enough just to put it on paper and not talk about it. They ensure that every individual understands how their role contributes to the transformation. So number 2 is establishing a clear and compelling vision. Number 3 is fostering a culture of agility. You got to be able to move in this market. Elephants get run over by rabbits. Change management. Resistance to change is often rooted in fear. Many people just fear. Let me see how things play out. Let me see how this goes. They don't anticipate change. They don't anticipate the future. And as a result, they don't succeed. They get cemented in fear. And that doesn't passionately move people with a team. Visionary leaders normalize adaptation by embedding it into their organizational culture. It's something that you don't do when things happen that you don't anticipate. It's something that's a continual, perpetual thing that great visionary leaders do. They encourage continuous learning, experimentation, and iteration, making change a natural and, as a leader, a welcome process. Too many times brands, and I mean to call them brands. I talk about brands and I talk about commodities a lot. But commodity brands, there isn't anything welcome. They're very set in their ways. They don't want to change their way, and they think they have all the answers. Well, the interesting dichotomy to that is that every commodity brand, or company rather, that I've talked with and worked with at Liquid Mind don't have all the answers. Otherwise, they wouldn't be copying true brands. So fostering a culture of agility is number 3. Number 4 is balancing stability with transformation. Stability is key. When you're a leader, ensure that people understand you have a vision, a passion around that vision, that you've got a set course to achieve that vision, and an expectation from your team that they're going to support you successfully reaching that destination. So change management is not about abandoning core values. It's about preserving what works while innovating when necessary. You know, I hear too many brands throw that word around, innovation. They get cemented in not taking risks. They get cemented in fear. And you need to balance that stability with transformation. But you also need to understand you don't innovate for innovation's sake. You got to innovate because your vision and the principle behind the brand is that you always want to be a leader in your category, product, or service, whatever that may be. So visionary leaders maintain a sense of stability, ensuring that the team feels anchored to a mission. That's critical, even as processes and strategies evolve around them. There's an anchoring principle with visionary leaders that they want to stabilize their environment. They want people to trust that the vision that they've set is going to be realized, but also going to be realized through them and the expectation he or she has for them to contribute to the ongoing success of the brand itself. And without them, the brand does not succeed. And what I mean by this as an extension of the team is that when you look at, and I hear many times about companies being challenged with finding qualified people, those brands that have visionary leaders that have conveyed their principles and their vision to the outside world, in the communities that they serve with products that have differentiated themselves from their competitors over generations, have no problem bringing on great team members. So as you transform, stick to your vision, stick to your goals, stick to your principles. Number 5 is leading with emotional intelligence. Change is not just a strategic challenge. It's an emotional one. And too many times, brands and leaders don't take emotional issues into account. So they want to make sure that they talk about the issues. They talk about how they're going to work through them on a professional level, but not on a personal one. So visionary leaders demonstrate very high EQ, recognizing and addressing the emotions of their teams. They listen, acknowledge concerns, and they provide reassurance while fostering an environment psychologically safe. And what I mean by that is that whether it's HR, whether it's a team leader, the process that people go through, and I will say this, in the book, I've talked about the loneliness. And Beethoven was one that I talk about. And as I go through the series, not only this series, but I'll be doing a series on the book as well, I talk about these principles that they go through and the issues that these great visionary leaders go through. And Beethoven is one that had a lot of loneliness. And it is very lonely because what you're trying to do, this emotional intelligence, drains visionary leaders, but it's a necessary evil in order for them to achieve success with their team. Number 6 is empowering your teams to be what I call agents, change agents. Successful change just doesn't happen from the top down. It requires buy-in at every level inside the organization. Visionary leaders empower individuals to take ownership of this change, giving them the autonomy to innovate and implement new ideas, come up with suggestions that can be either implemented because they recognize the vision of the company and the principles of the company and the community that they serve. So they're not going to be offered, if you've done your job as a visionary leader, empowering your teams is one of the greatest things that you can do, because they're the ones that are going to assist and help you through change, but also they understand the vision of the brand and the company. that they're not going to be suggesting anything that is going to be outside the principle of what the brand stands for. So giving them autonomy to innovate and implement new ideas through change, they foster a sense of collective responsibility rather than top-down mandates. And that's really critical as well, is that the expectation of success is there. Let your team be the change agents. Let them anticipate changes that are coming. Have another set of eyeballs beyond the visionary leader that can then let them know, hey, this change is coming. Let's anticipate it. Let's respond and not react. And number 7 is using storytelling to drive change. Data alone, that's what we get into a trap with too many times as leaders. Data alone won't inspire any action. No matter how much data you put in front of your team, past history you put in front of your team, visionary leaders use storytelling to make change personal and relatable. They highlight stories of resilience, transformation, and success. And that's what I talk about in the Visionary Leader. Almost every visionary leader in the book and that I profile in the book has had these traits: resilience, transformation, and success. Demonstrating that change within itself leads to opportunities, not just obstacles. And that's what we see many times with change, is negativity. Everything's negative. But nobody can see kind of like the trees through the forest. So it's not just obstacles you're facing. It's also opportunities you need to recognize for future growth. Those that see these as obstacles only see a short-term vision. But those that see change through the lens of opportunities are the ones that are going to be generational brands and the leaders that help them to achieve and realize that vision. Number 8 is maintaining transparent and frequent communication. This isn't just a one-time thing. Change fails when communication breaks down at any level. Visionary leaders establish clear communication channels, ensuring that updates, expectation, feedback loops remain open and consistent with everyone on the team and the organization and the brand or company as a whole. They use a multi-channel approach, from town hall meetings inside the company, one-to-one check-ins on remote as well as in person, ensuring that every stakeholder inside the company is informed and engaged. That's critical. Think about the times when you've been at a company and you never hear from the leader. As you're going through change, that's when you need to hear from the leader more frequently, not less. So maintaining transparent and frequent communication is key to a visionary leader. Number 9 is demonstrating resilience and what I call grit. That's a word that's kind of thrown. I love that word because it's a great word for leaders and what they go through in transformational change. Change is never linear. There will be setbacks. It's called what I call switchback leadership. And what I mean by that, because I'm a mountain bike rider, and when you deal with switchbacks, it's usually a single track switchback, they call it. And you're really just maneuvering back and forth, but eventually you get to your destination and you never take your eye off the ball. You just know there's more challenges, setbacks, resistance, and moments of doubt. It's always not linear. Visionary leaders lead by example, demonstrating grit, persistence, and solution-focused mindset. They never look at the negativity or the negative side of change. They always look at opportunities through that change. And they empower their teams to realize that vision of opportunity through the lens of the principles of the brand and company. They turn challenges into learning moments and remain steadfast in their commitment to progress. They celebrate wins. Number 10 is they celebrate wins and milestones. They acknowledge progress is essential. Visionary leaders celebrate all victories, not just big victories, all victories. Small and big victories is crucial to recognizing the talent you have on your team and everything that it takes cohesively as a team and as a brand, company, a service to achieve the vision that your leader has set for your brand and company, and everybody is part of that success, regardless of who you are. They understand that recognition fuels engagement, and it ensures that people remain invested in this transformation of the brand. So these celebrating the wins and milestones is a critical ingredient as well. So as we go through these 10, number 1 is anticipating change before it happens. All of these 10 are things that visionary leaders need to understand as you go through change, as you go through the issues that you face on a day-to-day basis. Everybody has change, but acknowledging that you need to enhance, grow, or build all of these areas within your visionary leadership is crucial to you pushing through this change with your team and coming out the back end and succeeding. Number 2 is establishing a clear and compelling vision. Number 3 is fostering a culture of agility. Number 4 is balancing stability with transformation. Number 5 is leading with emotional intelligence. Number 6 is empowering your teams to be the change agent. Number 7 is using storytelling to drive change. Number 8 is they maintain transparent and frequent communication with the team, brand, company, and service. Number 9 is demonstrating resilience and grit through change. And number 10 is celebrating wins and milestones. So as I go through these, what they call these change principles of visionary leaders, and what do they do through change? Change is inevitable, but how you lead through it determines your success as a leader with yourself, personally and professionally with your team. So by anticipating change, not reacting, establishing a compelling vision, one that can be communicated over and over again with your team is critical. In leading with resilience, grit, you can turn uncertainty into an opportunity. And please, stop the negativity on the change side. Everybody goes through change. Everybody goes through challenges. But your team is looking to you for leadership, an opportunity through transformation. Visionary leadership isn't about controlling change at all. It isn't. It's about guiding it with purpose and conviction. So that's Chronicle number 5 on our road to visionary leadership, the road to change, and how visionary leaders adapt to change. So stay tuned to our next episode in the Road to Visionary Leadership series. The next one, Chronicle 6, is empowering and developing your team. If you've enjoyed today's episode, we would love to have you subscribe and share the Visionary Chronicles. Stay updated on the latest insights in leadership, innovation, brand strategy. And again, change is happening. You'll lead it or be led by it. The choice is yours. So whether you're an aspiring leader, a seasoned entrepreneur, or simply just seeking personal growth, the Visionary Leader and the Road to Visionary Leadership series will hopefully guide you on your journey, and I call it a journey, not a destination, to creating a lasting impact. So let's take that first step together, and hopefully you find these chronicles useful. And if so, again, please subscribe, but probably even more importantly, share this with those you think might need this leadership principle advice on change. So as you wrap up the episode of Visionary Chronicles, I wanted to also put this out there. I talked about the book, The Visionary Leader. I've got an exciting opportunity to share with our listeners, and I've done this now the last couple of weeks. And I've gone through a lot of the last 18 months with putting the book together. And this upcoming book, The Leadership, Visionary Leader, The Success Principles of the World's Greatest Visionary Leaders, it's narrated, it's released in July. So I'm inviting you to be part of this journey with me. And I've gotten a lot of great feedback on this as well. So if you'd like an advanced copy of the book, an ebook, and share your thoughts as an early reviewer, you can claim your copy at Booksprout. I'll put the email address up there. It's a simple link. You just download the book. And it's a limited time offering. So we had a lot of people snap these up last 2 weeks. And it's an ebook. And wanted to put that out there for you in appreciation for you being a listener of the Visionary Chronicles. So until next time, keep innovating, keep leading, and always keep shaping the future. So thank you again, and I want to make sure I mention this again. Thank you for your continued support, and I look forward to hearing from you, whether it's purchasing the Visionary brand, listening to the Visionary Chronicles podcast, this series in particular. I love hearing from you. So stay true, stay authentic, be different, and be great. But as I always say, enjoy the journey along the way. And I look forward to the next Visionary Chronicles and the next in our series to the road to visionary leadership.